What happens when stars collide? That's a pretty interesting question, and it's a question we actually might have answers to now. You see, there's a star about 7,500 light years away from us called Eta Carinae, and historically we know it's had a fairly violent history. About 150 years ago, it went through some eruptions. But that was in the early days of astronomy, where we didn't really have very good instruments, telescopes or cameras to take detailed observations of this eruption. So we didn't really know what went on. But there's this really awesome technique in astronomy called light echoes, where you measure light that has come from an event that's traveled through space, bounced off some distant cloud or nebula, and then been redirected to us. So the nebula is acting like a big mirror. Now this can let you see things that happened in the past. So as it happens, Eta Carinae has a bunch of light echoes associated with it, and they've just been published in a new study. And this study has some pretty interesting insights. What they find from this 150-year-old explosion is that the stuff of that star is running away much faster than what they would expect. It's going between 10,000 and 20,000 kilometers per second. Now that's an incredibly fast speed. It's about 10 times faster than what you would actually expect one of these massive stars like Eta Carinae to make, which leads to some pretty interesting ideas. So we know that Eta Carinae is at the moment a binary system, but an idea has been floated by these researchers that perhaps Eta Carinae was a triple star system in the past, and that two massive stars collided and merged with one another, creating a supermassive star, which then went through a violent outburst, kicking off a bunch of its material in this colossal explosion, which put out as much energy as pretty much every star in our galaxy combined during that explosion. So this explosion radiates out through the local neighborhood and creates a beautiful nebula we call the Homunculus Nebula, which contains about 10 times the mass of our Sun in it. So this star that exploded was extremely large. So all of this mass and energy that was involved is enough to make a supernova. So the fact that the star, Eta Carinae, is actually still intact is quite interesting, and it supports this idea that perhaps there was this merger between two massive stars and then some violent outburst occurred. So if you're wondering what happens to stars when they collide, well, they might actually blow up in a spectacular explosion. But this is still speculation. It could be some weird other process that goes on. But I think it's pretty amazing that by studying light that was bounced off a nebula from this explosion 150 years ago, we can start to piece together an idea of what went on. And perhaps it could be this double star merger which led to an explosion.